Hi everyone, I'm Donna Ellis from St. John's in Ancaster. I'm part of the CYFM team that put the Lenten box together. How's your Lenten journey going? This week in Lent, we are focusing on love. Today, my friend Carol and I are going to make pretzels. So, before we get started, you will need to get all your ingredients ready and all your measuring things as well. You'll find the recipe in the box. You'll also need a cookie sheet ready. The oil on it if you want, or if you have parchment paper, you can use that. Pause the video until you're ready and I'll wait for you. So, you have all your ingredients and you make sure you've washed your hands, right? We've washed ours.
All right, we're gonna make sure there's all the ingredients. So one of the first things we need is hot water. So Donna's gonna go and get the hot water. We also need flour and quick rise yeast. We have a package of yeast here. Table salt, 1 egg and a little bowl for the egg for it. Some honey. Nice jar of honey, some coarse salt that we'll sprinkle on. That's just salt that's a little bigger than table salt. We'll sprinkle that on the pretzels later. So Donna's coming back with the water and we're going to start putting honey in there. And I think Donna's going to get some ingredients away from us so we can have a bit more space here.
Yeah, we don't need the egg and the coarse salt right now. That's for later, so I'm just going to put them over here.
So we need 5 tablespoons of honey. Let's stir that honey into that warm water.
I like honey.
And we need a teaspoon of salt. Just some fine salt that you would use at the table. Sprinkle that in there too. Give that to Donna. I'm going to stir that in until it's all dissolved. So until all that honey is mixed in. So once that's all stirred in, you're going to get your yeast, your little packet of yeast, and make sure it's all jiggled down to the one end. Cut it open. And you're going to carefully pour that into the honey and salt water. Sprinkle it in there. Make sure it's all gone. And then I just give it a quick 3-second stir. 1, 2, 3.
And what's going to happen is the combination of the warm water and the sweet honey is going to help the yeast to grow. It's kind of like a science experiment. You'll put it in and we're just going to leave it sit. It says on here for 3 to 4 minutes. So I am going to put that on my timer. I'm going to put 3 minutes.
Right here so you can sort of see it.
And then we can look at it after 3 minutes.
Great. So while that's sitting, we can be measuring out our flour ready to go. So that's 3 cups. That's all we're going to put in the bowl for now. 3 cups of flour. But we're going to have a 4th cup ready to add to this mixture when we get mixing it all together. So we're just going to put that right here ready to go when we're ready to go. And we only have 25 seconds left.
And if you take a look at it, it should be starting to grow. You should start seeing it get a little thick on top, and that means the yeast is growing, and that's actually what helps our pretzels to puff up. And yeast is used in bread, so bread will rise, and this is going to help our pretzels to rise.
I can't wait to eat these pretzels.
So do you know what pretzels are a symbol for, Carol?
I've heard this. It has something to do with arms, right?
Yep.
What is the symbol?
So there was a European monk who used to take leftover bread dough and make what he called little arms crossed over your heart. So when you kind of look at a pretzel, you can see it kind of looks like a heart with arms crossed over. All right, so now we're done.
And the word pretzel actually means little arms.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, isn't it? So we're going to dump all of that in, and I'm going to scrape this out. And we're going to start stirring it. So if there's two of you, you should take turns. Carol and I have been taking turns doing this, and you guys can take turns too. So I'm going to stir it around, and it's pretty globby, but keep stirring it around and around.
So the recipe calls to make it a nice constant dough. And that means that it looks nice and smooth. So if it doesn't look that way, you add more flour.
So right now mine looks pretty sticky. I don't want it too sticky. So we're going to add a little bit more flour. Not all of it, but we're going to add some more. And this is where it's good to add it a little bit at a time. And stir. And stirring can sometimes be a bit difficult. You might need an adult to help you with the stirring. Oh, this is starting to look much better now. So since it's actually getting to be too hard with the spoon, and I've washed my hands, I am going to take the dough that's sitting on the spoon off with my fingers, and I'm going to start working with the dough in the bowl with my hands. Try to capture up all the flour that's in here.
And scrape all the sides of the bowl where the dough maybe has stuck.
And we're trying to get a nice round ball. And I think this ball feels pretty good. It's not too sticky. So now it says to knead the dough for 5 to 7 minutes until the dough is smooth and elastic. So I'm going to put the dough on a floured surface. So that means we have to shake a bit of flour down and spread it out. If you can see what I've done, it's all spread out on there. And now I'm going to take the dough and I'm going to knead it. And how you do that is you actually use your fingers to pull it back, but you use the heel of your hand to push on it. So you're going to push on it, and then you're going to fold it back over with your fingers and turn it. So you're going to fold it over with your fingers, push it with the heels of your hand, fold it over, push, fold it over, push, and turn it.
And you turn it a quarter time each time you turn it.
That's right. And so you turn it a quarter turn, push with the heels of your hand, and pull it back or fold it back over itself with your fingers. And that is how you knead dough. And we need to do this for 5 to 7 minutes, Carol. So can you put 5 minutes on the timer for me, please?
Sure thing.
And then when it gets sticky, you feel it sticking to the bottom of your placemat or your table or whatever it is you're using, just smooth some more flour over it and keep going. And do you have your oven on already? If not, make sure you go and turn it on. And the recipe says to turn it on at 425 degrees. So it's already nice and hot when it's time to put the pretzels in.
1 minute to go. You're doing great.
Keep kneading. Don't stop. If your hands or arms start to hurt, maybe that's when you take turns.
It's a good workout.
I like it, actually. And this is why you have to make sure you wash your hands.
We soon are at our 5 minutes, and you can see how the dough's getting nice and smooth and soft.
Still a little bit sticky, but that's okay. We want it still a little bit sticky, but not a lot sticky.
All right, we're coming down to the final seconds here. You can go longer than 5 minutes, but 5 minutes usually handles it all. And when you're done, you're going to make it into a nice ball. One nice big ball. And there's the time.
Okay, so now I have a nice ball of dough. Now, the next thing we need to do is we'll have to try and divide it into somewhere between 20 and 26 pieces. We say 22 here to 26, but whatever it takes, right? So to make that easier, I'm going to try and stretch it out so it's kind of like a log, because it's just going to be easier to cut when it's a log.
And while she's doing that, I'm getting the egg ready for the egg wash at the end. You just break it into a small bowl, and then you're going to whisk it up. You can use a small whisk, or we're using a fork today, a small fork. And I'm going to get that ready while she's cutting that up.
So the first thing I'm going to do is cut it in half. And I'm just using a dinner knife to do that. So now I've got it cut in half. And now I'm going to cut each one in half again. So here we go. I'm going to cut each one in half. All right. And now I'm going to take each one and turn it and cut that in half as well. We're going to try and get as many pieces as we can out that are about the same size. I think I need a flour back. Did you take the flour away, Carol?
Did. I'll bring it right back.
All right. Thanks. Because it's starting to stick to the, and that's all you have to do. If it starts to stick to your table or whatever, you just have to put a little bit of flour down.
23, 24. 24 pretzels we're going to get out of this. You can make them bigger if you want, but you have to really watch how big you make them because they may not cook as well. So you need to keep them nice and thin little pretzels.
So we're going to show you two different ways of making the pretzels. One of the ways is the way that is shown at the bottom of your recipe. And I'm just going to roll it out here on this. Make it a nice long snake. And if you use two hands while you're rolling and pull out very gently, that will help make your nice long snake. And you want to make your snake about, oh, how long would you say that is? Maybe, why don't you get the measuring tape out and we can measure, see how long it is.
I would say about 30 centimeters or 12 inches.
All right, so that's about 12 inches right there. So then what you're going to do is, according to the little diagram at the bottom, you're going to loop it around and cross them over twice. Okay, so I've looped it around and I've crossed it over twice. And then you bring it up to here and you have your pretzel. And I'm going to put that on my parchment paper.
All right, and we keep going.
Carol's got a different way to show you. I'm going to keep rolling while you do that.
Yeah, because sometimes the dough kind of dries out. So it's the same kind of method. Make a long snake with it.
About 12 inches long.
I like to put my palms on the dough and then roll my fingers right out to it.
Ooh, I'll try that.
You always have to make sure your surface is floured well, so it doesn't stick. And then sometimes you can get fancy and do it in the air. I don't know if that's going to happen today, but I just bring one down and then bring the other one down. Nice and simple, just like that. And put it on the parchment. So it looks like arms crossed. See? Arms crossed. If Donna crosses her arms now, it'll look like that. So we're going to keep going on this because we got 24 pretzels to make. This is going to take a little while, so maybe you can all do that at home. Split it up and get your family involved.
We're going to show you a couple more, and then we're going to show you what to do with them. Then we're going to pause the video, make the rest of our pretzels, and we'll put it back on right before we put them in the oven. Okay? Does that sound like a plan?
All right. So I'll show you what we do with them now. We have them on our cookie sheet right here. You can see this. And you're going to take your beaten egg and a little brush. And you're going to dip the brush in and just gently brush the top and the sides of your pretzel. What this does is it helps to brown the pretzel a bit. Give it a nice golden look to it. I'm just going to do 2 for now. And then we take our coarse salt, or sea salt you can use, or kosher salt sometimes it's called, and you just gently sprinkle it. You don't need a lot. You just gently take a pinch of it and gently sprinkle the top of your pretzel. And that egg wash will help make the salt also stick to it. Okay, so we're going to keep going. We're going to keep rolling, and we'll come back to you right before we put them in the oven.
There you go. Okay, we're back, and we've got almost all of our pretzels ready. We're just doing the last one.
So just a little hint, if you're having some trouble, make sure your snake is at the top of your work area and bring it towards you, roll it towards you using your fingers, lift it up, take it to the top again. Don't roll back and forth because that's not going to work too well. I don't know why it doesn't. It just doesn't. So we'll just make this last one. Donna's going to start brushing all those pretzels with the egg mixture. And that's what it's going to look like.
Now our recipe says to put it in the oven at 425 degrees for 15 minutes. So we're going to take a look at them after 15 minutes. I think they're done. Our timer just went off. Let's take a look. Oh, look at those.
So they're a little brown on top. And on the bottom, if you can carefully look, they're brown on the bottom like that. They're super hot, so we got to leave them cool for a little bit. So we've put them on a cooling rack here.
Well, I hope your pretzels turned out. If not, don't worry. You can try again. Not everything works out the first time. You may have already lit your candles and said your prayer for love this week. If not, maybe today would be a good time to do it with your family while you enjoy your pretzels. God bless your journey.